So here we have the function log of sine x over 1 plus cosine of x. So we need to find its derivative by using the chain rule. But before that, what we're going to do, we're going to simplify the argument of the logarithm, which is sine x over 1 plus cosine of x. So we know that sine of 2x is equals to 2 times sine of x times cosine of x. So if we have sine of x, then that becomes equals to 2 times sine of x over 2 times cosine of x over 2. And also we know that cosine of 2x is equals to 2 times cosine squared x minus 1. Or if we have cosine of x, then this will becomes 2 times cosine squared x over 2 minus 1. So now our trigonometric function becomes log of sine x. So sine x will becomes 2 times sine x over 2 times cosine of x over 2 divided by 1 plus cosine of x. So that becomes 2 times cosine squared of x over 2. So now we can cancel out 1 cosine of x over 2 from the numerator and the denominator. So we can also cancel out the 2. So we have sine x over 2 divided by cosine x over 2. And the ratio of sine over cos is simply the tangent function. So we have tangent of x over 2. Now we will find the derivative of this particular function. So derivative of the log of tangent x over 2 will be equals to, so where we're going to apply the chain rule. For that we will assume the tan x over 2 is x. So that means we find the derivative of log of x, which is simply 1 over x. So x here is tangent of x over 2. Then we multiply it to the derivative of the assumed function, which is tangent of x over 2. So 1 over tangent of x over 2 is simply, let's leave it the way it is, 1 over tangent of x over 2 times derivative of the tangent function is secant squared x, but here we have x over 2. So that means we are going to assume that x over 2, if it were equivalent to x, then derivative of tangent of x is simply equals to secant squared x. So we have secant squared x over 2 times the derivative of x over 2. So we have secant squared over x over 2, so that can be written as 1 over cosine squared of x over 2 divided by, so we have tangent of x over 2, so that will be sine x over 2 divided by cosine of x over 2 times derivative of x over 2 is going to be half multiplied to the derivative of x. So we can cancel out 1 cosine of x over 2 from the numerator and the denominator. So we have 1 over cosine of x over 2 divided by sine x over 2 multiplied by half, and derivative of x is 1. Now we can rearrange everything, so that gives us 1 over 2 times sine x over 2 times cosine of x over 2. Now we know that 2 times sine theta times cosine of theta is simply equals to sine of 2 times theta. So that gives us 1 over sine x. So 1 over sine x is simply cosec x. So that means the derivative of the given function, which was log of sine x over 1 plus cosine of x, is simply equals to cosec x. So let's move on to the next question. So here we have the function given by log of the square root of 1 minus cosine of x divided by 1 plus cosine of x. So before finding the derivative, what we can do, we can rewrite the given argument of the logarithm as log of 1 minus cosine of x divided by 1 plus cosine of x whole raised to the power of half. We're going to use the property the log of a raised to the power of b is given by b log of a, which will be equals to half the log of 1 minus cosine of x divided by 1 plus cosine of x, which is equals to half times log of 1 minus cosine of x minus half log of 1 plus cosine of x. So here we have applied the property the log of a over b is equals to log of a minus the log of b. So finding the derivative of the log of the square root of 1 minus x, 1 minus cosine of x divided by 1 plus cosine of x is the same as finding the derivative of half times the derivative of log of 1 minus cosine of x minus half times the derivative of log of 1 plus cosine of x, which will be equals to half. Now derivative of the logarithmic function, if we assume that 1 minus cosine of x is x, then we should get 1 over x. So x here is 1 minus cosine of x, but since it is not, this is only an assumption, so we need to multiply it to the derivative of 1 minus cosine of x minus half. Similarly, derivative of 1 plus cosine of x will be 1 over 1 plus cosine of x multiplied to the derivative of 1 plus cosine of x. So we have 1 over 2 times 1 minus cosine of x. So derivative of 1 with respect to x is 0 minus derivative of cosine of x is negative sine x minus 1 over 2 times 1 plus cosine of x multiplied to, so derivative of x, or derivative of 1 with respect to x is 0, and derivative of the cosine function is negative sine x, which is equals to sine x over 2 times 1 minus cosine of x plus sine x over 2 times 1 plus cosine of x. So the negative and this particular negative in the second term becomes positive. Now we're going to take sine x over 2 as the common term. So that leaves us with 1 over 1 minus sine of x plus 1 over 1 plus cosine of x. And this will be equals to sine of x over 2 times 1 minus cosine of x times 1 plus cosine of x. So 1 minus cosine of x is 1 plus cosine of x plus 1, for the second term we have 1 minus cosine of x. So cosine of x and negative cosine of x cancels out, leaving us with sine x over 2 times 1 plus 1 will be 2, and we have 1 minus cosine squared x, because this is the identity 1 minus cos x times 1 plus cos x is equals to 1 squared minus cos squared x, which will be equals to sine x over, so 2 and 2 gets cancelled, 1 minus cosine squared x is sine squared x, which is equals to 1 over sine x, and the reciprocal of the sine function is the cosec function. So here also we have cosec of x. Now let's move on to the next question. So here we have the function log of x plus square root of 1 plus x squared. So we need to find its derivative with respect to x. So now we are going to apply the chain rule by assuming that x plus square root of 1 plus x squared is equivalent to x. This is an assumption. So if it were an x, then we have derivative of log of x, which is simply equals to 1 over x, which is x plus square root of 1 plus x squared. But since it is not, we need to multiply it to the derivative of the assumption, which is x plus square root of 1 plus x squared. So that gives us 1 over x plus square root of 1 plus x squared multiplied to derivative of x plus the derivative of square root of 1 plus x squared, which can be written as 1 plus x squared raised to the power of half, which is equals to 1 over x plus square root of 1 plus x squared multiplied to derivative of x, which is 1. Now for the second derivative, we are again going to apply the chain rule. So here we are going to consider the 1 plus x squared. If it were x, then we have x raised to the power of half. So we have half multiplied to 1 plus x squared, which we are assuming to be x. That will be raised to half minus 1 multiplied to the derivative of the assumption, which is 1 plus x squared. So that gives us 1 over x plus square root of 1 plus x squared. So we have 1 plus half multiplied to 1 plus x squared raised to the power of negative half. And derivative of 1 is 0, and the derivative of x squared is 2x. So the 2 and 2 gets cancelled, and that leaves us with 1 over x plus square root of 1 plus x squared. So we have 1 plus x divided by 1 plus x squared raised to the power of half. So we're going to combine the two terms inside the parentheses. So we have 1 over x plus square root of 1 plus x squared multiplied to, so 1 plus x squared raised to the power half is simply 1 plus x squared with a square root. So square root multiplied to 1 will give us square root of 1 plus x squared plus x in the numerator. Now we see that x plus square root of 1 plus x squared is present in both the numerator and the denominator, so they cancel out, and that leaves us with 1 over square root of 1 plus x squared. So this is going to be the derivative of our function. So derivative of this particular function, this is, let me write it down here, 1 over square root of 1 plus x squared, and we find its derivative with respect to x. So let's move on to the next question. So here we have the function log of cosec x minus cot x. So let's try to find out the derivative of this given function with respect to x by using the chain rule. So here we're going to assume or imagine that cosec x minus cot of x, if it were equals to x, then derivative of log of x will be simply 1 over x. So x here is cosec x minus cot x multiplied to the derivative of the argument, which is cosec x minus cot of x, which will be equals to 1 over cosec x minus cot of x. Now, derivative of the cosec x function is negative cosec x times cot of x minus derivative of the cot function is negative cosec squared x. So that gives us positive cosec squared x minus cosec x times cot x in the numerator divided by cosec x minus cot of x in the denominator. Now what we can do, we can take cosec x as common in the numerator, so that was going to leave us with cosec x minus cot of x divided by cosec x minus cot of x. Now we see that cosec x minus cot of x is common to both the numerator and the denominator. So the final answer will be cosec x. So this is the derivative of a function log of cosec x minus cot x. So this is equals to simply cosec x. So let's move on to the next question. So here we have the function given by sine 1 plus x squared divided by 1 minus x squared. So let's find the derivative by using the chain rule. So here we are going to assume that the argument of the sine function, which is 1 plus x squared divided by 1 minus x squared. So we're going to imagine that if this were equals to x, then we only have derivative of sine of x, which should give us cos of x. So x here is 1 plus x squared times 1 divided by 1 minus x squared. But since it is not x, that's only an assumption, so we're going to multiply it to the derivative of 1 plus x squared over 1 minus x squared. So now we're going to use the quotient rule to find the derivative. So we have cosine of 1 plus x squared divided by 1 minus x squared. This will be multiplied to, and we have 1 minus x squared whole squared in the denominator, and in the numerator we start with 1 minus x squared multiplied to the derivative of 1 plus x squared, which is the function in the numerator, minus the function in the numerator times the derivative of the function in the denominator, which is 1 minus x squared. So that is equals to cosine of 1 plus x whole squared divided by 1 minus x whole squared multiplied to 1 minus x squared multiplied to derivative of 1 is 0 and derivative of x squared is twice x, minus 1 plus x squared multiplied to derivative of 1, which is 0, minus the derivative of x squared, negative x squared, so that gives us negative 2x whole divided by 1 minus x squared whole squared. Now what we can do, we can multiply the negative, so this negative and this negative will get multiplied to become positive, such that we can we will have 1 plus x squared. So let's write the cosine function first. Then we have, so we're going to take 2x as the common term, so we have 2x, so that will be combined to 1 minus x squared plus 1 plus x squared whole divided by 1 minus x squared whole squared. So negative x squared and positive x squared gets cancelled, so we have 1 plus 1, so that will give us cosine of 1 plus x squared divided by 1 minus x squared multiplied to, so 2x multiplied to 2 will give us 4x, so we have 4x divided by 1 minus x squared whole squared. So this is the derivative of our given function with respect to x.